Okay, so you're in a dating situation or relationship with a dismissive avoidant attachment style, and you're wondering if space is going to make them miss you more and actually start to reach out and make a more of an effort in a relationship. But maybe you're also wondering, will silence instead just push this person further away rather than cause them to want to take the initiative? And maybe if we take this even a step further, you've tried reaching out before and making the effort first, maybe even a lot more than they are, and you just feel like that's not really doing the work. And maybe if you try ignoring them, you're scared that you're just going to push them away altogether at this point. Well, if you don't understand the dynamics of the avoidant attachment style and how emotional distance actually functions in the relationship dynamics with them, you could actually push them away further and lose the opportunity for that genuine reconnection or growth and progress in this dynamic. So, my goal for you today, and I'm so excited that you stopped by and are here, my goal is to take you through helping you understand whether or not silence will make the dismissive avoidant miss you, how you can leverage silence in a really healthy way while also taking your own boundaries and truth and needs into consideration so that you can see, does the needle move? Can we use this to our advantage in a healthy way? And also make sure that we are looking out for ourselves and our needs in this process. And so by the end of this video, you will know what you can do with silence, how it affects a dismissive avoidant, whether or not it makes them miss you, and basically the best strategy to encourage reconnection and not push this person away. Now, if you're new here, very quick, my name is Thais Gibson. I am a coach, counselor, and founder of the Personal Development School, and I have been working in this field for more than a decade, all to do with psychology, relationships, and attachment theory. And if you're not familiar with attachment theory, I will put a quick little infographic right here, which just shows you that attachment theory is basically the study of how your relationships as a child impact your adult romantic relationships. There are 4 attachment styles, and this field has been studied for decades, originally out of Cambridge University. There is the cold partner or dismissive avoidant who tends to be really slow to warm up, a little bit standoffish, and sometimes fearing commitment. There's the hot and cold partner or fearful avoidant attachment style, the anxious partner, who sometimes can be clingy or afraid, needy in relationships, and then our secure attachment style. So let's dive into the dismissive avoidant in particular and see what you can learn from this. So we're going to talk about the different facets of this. On one hand, the answer is absolutely yes. And this is largely because dismissive avoidants are operating in their feelings minus their fears, but there's more to it than just that. So, dismissive avoidants are basically in this place where their subconscious programming in relationship to attachment is they were programmed to feel like attachment was painful because they often felt emotionally neglected. There may have been certain needs they got met at a more superficial level, and that's generally why they try to stay in more superficial relationships because it's their comfort zone. But when it came to the emotional depth of a relationship to parents and caregivers, where emotions were discussed, the child was attuned to, they were checked in with, hey, how was your day? I noticed you're off today. Did something happen at school? Talk to me about it. I mean, that's even when attachment develops later into childhood, really develops at a much younger age first, but of course we can get conditioned in different ways over time. But as this is taking place, a child from a DA household or who becomes a DA grows up in a household where there is a total lack of emotional attunement, and that's very painful. And so they keep trying to go back to like what they know. We all try to operate out of our subconscious comfort zone, which means if parents and caregivers were just operating with you in a place of harmony, safety, high level commitment, high level connection, intellectual connection, but no real depth of emotional connection. If that wasn't anchored in there, then they keep trying to go back to those types of relationships, go back to what they know. So when real vulnerability is required, which is just a natural unfolding when we start to really develop feelings for somebody and more deeply attached, they often try to sabotage it. It's scary. That's outside of my comfort zone. The subconscious mind keeps wanting to re-engage with what's familiar. So we have the DA operating in this state of their feelings minus their fears. And so when those fears come online too strongly, it's very terrifying. And that will often cause the DA to try to keep people at arm's length or pull away. Now, they often also associate their feelings as a sign of weakness or defectiveness, right? Shame. When a child grows up in a household where they're shamed for something, or when they grow up in a household where something's really not met and it's neglected, they experience that part of themselves as shameful, that part of themselves that was neglected. So, they will really try to keep people away here. Now, what's interesting is that what silence does in a relationship is it takes the fears away, because when you're not there, there's nothing to fear. There's no vulnerability to fear. There's no deep connection to fear. There's no, obliteration of the subconscious comfort zone to fear. So they can really tap into their feelings. However, dismissive avoidance can also be out of sight, out of mind individuals, because they tend to really get their needs met from like what's in front of them. It's not the case with every DA ever, but it is a bit of a coping mechanism that they're good at getting into. And they also are good at like repressing their feelings for fairly long periods of time. So there needs to be like a healthy middle ground. You'll often see dismissive avoidance get into long distance relationships because it's their subconscious way of bypassing vulnerability a little bit. It's like, oh, if there's more distance, I don't have to feel like I'm so vulnerable to you. I can be vulnerable from a distance, which feels safe. So when we're trying to engage in a relationship with a DA, and maybe it's been on the rocks or it hasn't been working, and you're taking, maybe you're going no contact, things like that. There's sort of like this middle ground. And I've got a lot of videos on this channel about no contact. I've got a whole course about it as well, about no contact, breaking up, being on the rocks in a relationship. It's called How to Repair Any Relationship. And it really is within the constraints of like what this person's available to give you, and you sort of defining like your non-negotiables, your standards, and really coming to terms with like what's a right fit, but also all the tools you need to, if you're really willing to participate in a relationship and think it's worth trying for, to really find a way to make that relationship work by understanding these key principles, to get relationships off the rocks. So you can check that out for free for 7 days. It's called How to Repair Any Relationship. I'll put a link below it. It also gives you access to all of our other courses for 7 days, and our live calls that I do with our students. So you can come in and ask me questions if you have them. But essentially, you'll see this dynamic of like, DAs tend to first respond to silence a lot. They respond to space a lot. They want to try to re-engage a lot of the time, or they miss that kind of connection and comfort when they're not in that fear mode. But they can become out of sight and out of mind, or out of sight, out of mind, where they sort of like move on. And generally, there's a bit of a time period at which that occurs. And it tends to be between like 6 weeks to 3 months. When something's on the rocks, it's not working, and somebody pulls away, they tend to be really good at repressing their emotions first around it, because that's their way of initially coping. It's like their go-to coping mechanism. So they tend to sort of be able to keep their emotions at bay around situations. And then eventually they start being like, okay, well, I can feel some of these feelings, and they're processing. They almost have like a delayed processing of their emotions. It's like, okay, this happened a while ago. It must be safe to feel now. And they'll sort of give themselves a little bit more permission to start feeling their feelings. And that's where they can experience a lot of pain and hurt, especially around silence. So silence on one hand can be beneficial, but I think the relationship we each have to silence, if a relationship isn't working, has to be truthful to ourselves. So if you're just trying to use silence as a technique to make somebody miss you, there's an element of manipulation in that. If you're using silence as a technique to give yourself space to figure out what you want in a relationship, if this is right for you, to give yourself actual boundaries so that you can do some healing if something's not working. And then you can be really clear if that person does try to reach back out to you or re-engage, about what you would need from that person in order to really make the relationship work if you were thinking about it. Well, now you're in a position where you can go, okay, I know what I would need. I'm very clear about it. If I get these things when a person tries to reconnect, I may be open to seeing how it goes for a period of time. And if I keep seeing momentum, I may keep my mind open and continue to invest. But, and this is with any attachment style, if you, are just using silence to get somebody back and there's no growth in the relationship, then that becomes harmful for everybody. So I just wanted to put that out there as well. I probably should have put that as a disclaimer at the beginning. I have exciting news to share with you today, and it is that to celebrate the Personal Development School's 5-year anniversary, we are offering 40% off of your first month to our All Access Pass. Plus, you can enjoy 20% off of my newest book called Learning Love, both of which are all about how to change your attachment style to become securely attached. So whether you are looking to improve your relationships, personally grow, or just develop a lot of emotional mastery over the way that you feel, now is the perfect time to start. But hurry, because this offer won't last long. So head over to the link below to join today. I hope this makes a lot of sense. So that's it for this video for today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for checking out this channel, being here, hanging out. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe if you haven't. I would really appreciate it as well. And I will see you in the next video tomorrow.